India, Russia, China, Brazil and South Africa form one of the world's most important economic blocs. The BRICS Heads of State and Government Summit in South Africa's Johannesburg seeks to widen its influence and push for a shift in global geopolitics. Russia is being represented by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, with President Vladimir Putin participating online. And there's been a strong buzz of a possible meeting between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping. In recent years, the border between China and India, that's become the site of growing tensions. Chinese aggression, it has sparked clashes along the mostly rugged mountainous border known as the line of actual control. Amid Xi Jinping's irrational territorial ambitions, both sides have increasingly militarized their border policies and have shown no indication of backing down. The situation on the border remains tense due to China's violation of norms. Beijing and New Delhi are hardening their positions on either side of the line of actual control. And India remains firm. Peace and tranquility in border areas is essential. New Delhi says it's fully prepared and committed to protecting sovereignty and dignity. Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is accompanying Prime Minister Narendra Modi to South Africa. Putin decided against attending the summit in person as he is the target of an international criminal court arrest warrant that South Africa, in theory, is bound to enforce. BRICS was founded as an informal club in 2009 to provide a platform for its members to challenge a world order dominated by the United States and its Western allies. Its creation was initiated by Russia. As per UN data, the BRICS grouping represents more than 1/4 of the global GDP and 42% of the world's population. Significantly, the BRICS have seen their economic influence increase over the past decades as drivers of global growth, trade and investment. The heads of state and government of the member nations convene annually, with each nation taking up a one-year rotating chairmanship of the group. The bloc operates by consensus. All the BRICS countries are part of the G20 major economies. Some 50 other leaders who are not BRICS members, including Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi and Indonesian President Joko Widodo, are attending the talks in South Africa. At least 40 countries have shown interest in becoming members, with 23 having submitted their applications. Some of the countries aspiring to be BRICS members include Argentina, Bangladesh, Bahrain, Cuba, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, Nigeria and Saudi Arabia. Bloc aspirants view BRICS as an alternative to global bodies viewed as dominated by the traditional Western powers. They hope membership will unlock benefits, including development finance and increased trade and investment. Dissatisfaction with the global order among developing nations was exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, when life-saving vaccines were hoarded by rich countries. Beijing is pushing the BRICS to become a full-scale rival to G7, and Xi Jinping wants BRICS to be China-dominated. Analysts say countries such as Algeria, Argentina, Egypt and Iran see BRICS membership as a means, above all, to gain easier access to Chinese investment and financial support. For more on this, we're now being joined by our correspondent Kalden Ongmu. Kalden, thank you so much for joining us. To begin with, what can you tell us of the schedule for the day? Are there any meetings expected on the sidelines of the summit?
Currently, actually, I'm in Union Buildings in Pretoria. That's the capital, administrative capital city of South Africa. South Africa is going to host a state visit for Chinese President Xi Jinping ahead of the summit that's going to start around 4 p.m. today. If you go back to summit, I can tell you that the formal program will begin with the retreat of all the BRICS leaders around 4 p.m. There is an address, statements that will be made by each leader. Of course, your Russian President Vladimir Putin will be addressing virtually. So those are the programs that is there. But on the sidelines, of course, there are lots of meetings the 5 countries will be having with one another.
Right, Kalden. Now, the BRICS expansion, that has been much talked about. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, I think that's the first and foremost and most important discussion that's going to take place. Each leader from every country has stressed that this will be the topic of discussion, this 15th BRICS summit. If you remember, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa stating that they confirm and they are for the BRICS expansion. There are lots of countries around the world that have shown interest in joining the BRICS bloc. As you mentioned in your read, at least we know 20 countries have formally applied to be part of the BRICS. And it is important not just for South Africa, but other countries as well. China is at the forefront calling for an expansion. And we're told recently that even Brazil, as well as China, as well as India, I beg your pardon, that they are positive about this BRICS expansion. So that is one discussion that will be done during the retreat as well. Alongside, we are told, if you look at the BRICS program, stating that they may also discuss about the local currency. That also might be discussed during the leaders' retreat this evening.
Right, Carlton, that being said, what are some of the other key areas of focus at the summit this year?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Right, Carlton, I was asking you about the other key areas of focus at the summit this year. Well, we seem to be having a problem with that line there. We will try and get Carlton back on with us in a short while from now. For now, moving on. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.